It's finally time to take a look at a way too early 53-man roster projection that involves a couple of interesting switch-ups from last season, and I gotta get your thoughts on where you think I am right and wrong. But first, how about those? Alright guys, here's what I personally think the Chiefs 53-man roster looks like at the moment, and yeah, it is way too early, but I want to do one now and then do another one right before all the cutdowns happen and see how close or not close I get. Also, when I talk about each position group, I will show how many the Chiefs opted to go with over the last 4 years for their initial 53-man rosters as well, just so you can get an average and see numbers that they've gone with in the past to get a broader look. Okay, first up, I'm going to go with 3 QBs, Patrick Mahomes, Blaine Gabbert, and Shane Buechele, with the emergency third QB rule helping Shane Buechele dress up for every game, though once again, he will more than likely not play on the field this season, and if he does not, that is a good thing, because if he finds himself out on the field, then the Chiefs are in bad shape as far as QBs are concerned. I think one more year and Shane could very well see himself as QB2, but Andy Reid loves veteran backups, which is something he has done or brought in player-wise veterans since he took the job in KC 10 years ago. Next, I'm going to have 4 running backs, Isaiah Pacheco, Jerick McKinnon, CEH, and finally the UDFA, Deneric Prince. I know some of you say CEH could be still getting traded, but at the moment, he is valuable depth to me, especially with Pacheco coming off of 2 surgeries and still, to this day, cannot practice with any contact. Could CEH still be traded? Sure, but at the moment, I have him on there with Deneric Prince being a sleeper candidate who could actually see some playing time this season, especially if injuries occur. And while I did select Prince as RB4, I was a bit torn between him and Jerry and Ely, who has a year under his belt on the Chiefs practice squad and is on the roster as a running back, wide receiver hybrid, and he could be a valuable person to have on the 53-man roster dressed out in a game, but right now, gonna ride with the early Deneric Prince hype train based on his similarities to Isaiah Pacheco. And lastly, notice for the first time since Andy Reid is head coach in KC, there is no fullback in the running back room. And to make up for there being no fullback, I'm gonna add a receiver, taking it from 5 last year to 6 this year, with the starting 6 currently looking like this: Kadarius Toney, MVS, Sky Moore, Rashee Rice, Richie James, and Justyn Watson. The first 4 on this list are definitely locks, and if you want to argue with me or with a wall about Richie James or Justyn Watson getting beat out by one of the Rosses, then okay. I think Richie is getting slept on, personally, in my opinion. I mean, the guy is coming off a career year, catching 57 passes for 569 yards and 4 touchdowns from Daniel freaking Jones. You heard me right. He had nearly 600 yards on the Giants last year as wide receiver 2 in production, and has also returned over 100 kickoffs and punts in his NFL career. So I do think he's currently the team's returner, and then can only imagine what he's going to do in the Chiefs offense with Patrick Mahomes throwing in passes next season. And then Justyn Watson just signed a 2-year deal this offseason, with the more than likely option of the Chiefs moving on from him being after this season. He has like a $1.2 million cap hit for 2023. So they want to move on from him. I think it's a little easier, more digestible for them to do so after this season. So I think at the moment he is the last receiver locked up. Patrick Mahomes trusts him, though it is not impossible to see him get replaced, or I guess for the Chiefs to make their 53-man roster have 7 receivers. But to do that, you'd have to take away from another position group, maybe running back, O-line, D-line. It could happen, I suppose, but for now, I had the Chiefs rolling with these 6, and unfortunately, Justyn or John Ross are not on it, but they could certainly prove me wrong as OTAs go on, mini camp, training camp, etc. I mean, the Chiefs are hyping Justyn Ross all the way up right now. You could see on social media, Patrick Mahomes threw a dime to Justyn Ross for a deep touchdown with Najee Johnson, I believe, in coverage. And for the record, Najee Johnson runs a 4.3840. He is a fast man, and Justyn Ross had him beat. So the hype is there. We will just have to wait and see. For now, I'm going with just the guys that make the most sense to me, though it is not impossible for one of these other guys to sneak onto the roster. And then for tight ends, I'm going to go ahead and go with 4, the same as last year, even though the Chiefs are moving away from a fullback and opting to use Noah Gray as a fullback tight end hybrid, with those 4 being Travis Kelce, Noah Gray, Blake Bell, and Jody Fortson. The other 2 tight ends are going to be interesting to watch as well. Kendall Blanton played 11 games for the Rams in 2021 and racked up 5 receptions for 57 yards in the NFC Championship game against the Niners. And then Matt Bushman is the guy who caught 3 passes for 73 yards and 2 touchdowns last preseason against the Packers before breaking his clavicle. And if anyone is in danger in the tight end room, I think it could be Jody Fortson, though I'm not really sure the danger level he is right now. And I know that's probably not what you guys want to hear, but Fortson has had 18 catches for 155 yards or so and 4 touchdowns in 2 seasons with the Chiefs. I know he's a nice red zone target, and also realize he tore his Achilles in 2021 and then went on IR at the end of 2022, which has affected his overall production / output. But that's going to be someone to watch for me, though I do currently have him on the roster as tight end 4. Next is the O-line. I'm going to be rolling with 10 of them, including the starting 5. Left tackle Donovan Smith, left guard Joe Thuney, center Creed Humphrey, right guard Trey Smith, and right tackle Jawan Taylor. I realize there's the potential possibility of Jawan playing left tackle with Donovan Smith simply being the veteran backup, and then Wanye Morris and Lucas Niang fighting for the right tackle spot. But right now I'm going to go with those 5 as the starters, with the 5 depth pieces being guards Nick Allegretti and Darian Kennard. Then for tackles, Wanye Morris, the newly drafted man himself, Lucas Niang, and Prince Tega Wanogho. Prince was one of their go-to swing tackles last season, so I'm keeping him on there for now. And before we move on from the O-line, I think UDFA Jerome Carvin out of Tennessee could be somebody to watch as well, a versatile guard himself. But from here, let's take a look at the defensive side of the ball. I'm going to have them roll with 4 defensive tackles: Chris Jones, Derek Nottie, Turk Wharton, and Keandre Coburn. Coburn was drafted in the 6th round of this year's draft, and the Chiefs definitely needed some help at the tackle position with the loss of Colin Saunders. Then for defensive ends, I'm going to have them rolling with 5 at the moment, with those players being Charles Omenihu, George Karlaftis, Felix Anudike-Uzomah, Mike Dana, and the speed rusher BJ Thompson. And we can't forget about the fact that Charles Omenihu can kick inside as well, and I have a feeling Joe Cullen is going to love the versatility there. For linebackers, I'm going to go with 4, with those players being Nick Bolton, Willie Gay, Drew Tranquil, and Leo Chanel. Chanel played the 4th most special team snaps last season and is obviously still on his rookie deal, so I like the odds of him staying, obviously, but that does leave out linebacker Jack Cochran, who logged the 6th most special team snaps in 2022, and as you will find out here soon, it was either leave off Cochran or safety Deion Bush, and I opted to keep Deion Bush on there because I'm going to be rolling with only 5 cornerbacks right now, even though the last 2 years the Chiefs have gone with 6, with the 5 corners I have being L'Jarius Sneed, Trent McDuffie, Jalen Watson, Joshua Williams, and Nic Jones. I think for Nic Jones to make the roster, he'll need to play quite a bit of special team snaps with the absence of cornerback Chris Lamons, but that's nothing new to him because Jones was a regular on kick return and punt return coverages, including 2 blocked punts in his career at Ball State University. Another player I'm not going to rule out in the cornerback room, even though they have him listed as safety or were playing him at safety last year at times, is Nazeeh Johnson, the man I've had on this channel himself. He could sneak in there on the back end of the roster. He played a lot of special teams last season, is a very fast man, as I stated earlier in this video, as he was in coverage on Justyn Ross on that play, but that is also a guy I could see sneaking on to the very back of this roster. You know, just because Nic Jones was drafted this year doesn't mean he's going to make the team. And then for safeties, I'm going to go with 5 instead of 4 like last year to make up for only opting for 5 cornerbacks, because one of these safeties is a very versatile one. But first, the 5 safeties are Justin Reed, Brian Cook, Mike Edwards, Chamari Connor, and Deion Bush. Connor is the intriguing one to me that can play all over the secondary and may be the Swiss Army knife back there for the team. He recorded significant snaps as a slot corner, a deep safety, and a box safety during his career at Virginia Tech, demonstrating an ability to play anywhere in the secondary. On top of that, he didn't miss a single game in college and also logged over 800 special team snaps. And to harp on the special teams hype train, Tobe should use Connor there for sure, as well as Deion Bush, more than likely at the moment at least, who had the 2nd most special team snaps of any player on the team last year, only behind Chris Lamons himself, and that man gone. So I think he can make it on there for special teams alone, which is why I included him as safety number 5. And then finally, I have the 3 specialists. No surprise here, being kicker Harrison Butker, punter Tommy Townsend, and long snapper Cole DeRuse. Wait, typo. Long snapper James Winchester. And so to recap my way too early 53-man roster projection, it looks like this: 3 QBs, Mahomes, Gabbert, Buechele; 4 running backs, Pacheco, McKinnon, CEH, Deneric Prince; 6 wide receivers, Kadarius Toney, MVS, Sky Moore, Rashee Rice, Richie James, and Justin Watson; 4 tight ends, Travis Kelce, Noah Gray, Blake Bell, and Jody Fortson; 10 offensive linemen, left tackle Donovan Smith, left guard Joe Thuney, center Creed Humphrey, right guard Trey Smith, and right tackle Jawan Taylor. And then you have guards Nick Allegretti, Darian Kennard, and tackles Wanye Morris, Lucas Niang, and Prince Tega Wanogho. And on the defensive side of the ball, I have 4 defensive tackles and Chris Jones, Derek Nottie, Turk Wharton, and Keandre Coburn; 5 defensive ends, Omenihu, you Karlaftis, Anudike Uzama, Mike Dana, and BJ Thompson. 4 linebackers, Nick Bolton, Drew Tranquil, Willie Gay, and Leo Chanel. 5 cornerbacks, L'Jarius Sneed, Trent McDuffie, Jalen Watson, Joshua Williams, and Nic Jones. 5 safeties, Justin Reed, Brian Cook, Mike Edwards, Chamari Connor, and Deion Bush. And finally, the 3 specialists and kicker, Harrison Butker, punter Tommy Townsend, and long snapper James Winchester, bringing the total to 53 players. You guys got to let me know, at least for now, where you agree and disagree with me down in the comments below. And until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those